everybody, this is Chef Jason Champagne of Native Chef LLC, and this first video is one of many to come. I'd like to thank the Southern Plains Tribal Health Board for the opportunity to present. I'm just so fortunate and thankful for that. We're going to be doing a lot of online cooking videos, and they're going to be based on indigenous Native American foods. This first one is about kitchen equipment and kitchen utensils. And I thought it'd be good to start with this one because you have to have the right stuff in the kitchen to be able to cook healthy and be successful. So I hope you enjoy this video. Thank you. Okay, so welcome to the kitchen. So again, we were talking about kitchen essentials. That's what we're going to cover today. And we're going to go over some utensils here, and then we're going to go over some kitchen equipment. Okay, kitchen essential utensils. Okay, it's nice to have a good, sturdy, solid spoon, a good, sturdy, slotted spoon with holes. Okay, nice, sturdy spatula, and it's a little bit thin on the front. Okay, so that's what we want. We want something pretty thin, like if you're flipping eggs. A rubber spatula, a pair of tongs. You can never have too many of these, but if I had to grab one, I'd grab this one. It's pretty sturdy and steel. A large ladle, okay. Smaller ladle. A metal whisk. A silicone coated whisk. This is if you're using non-stick pans and you don't want to chip them up or scratch them. It's good to have a silicone coated one. Potato masher. This is pretty important. This is a vintage one from probably my grandma had at one time, and nice to make whenever you're making smashed potatoes or mashed potatoes or whatever. It's something to smash and it's sturdy, okay? Pretty important. You got to have a can opener, okay? Really make a good investment into your can opener. This one was probably about $7, $8, but you know, compared to buying those dollar ones, you're going to probably buy about 7 of those over 2 or 3 years. And this is lasting me probably 5 or 6 already. So make a good investment into a can opener. Potato peeler, very important. I like this one because it's got a nice handle on it. Okay, it's got a nice handle and really easy to use. And again, it's a little bit more pricier than the dollar ones you're going to find. But it's all about comfort, and this has lasted so many years. Again, we're making an investment into our health with cooking it more at home. Okay. So this is a food thermometer. Okay, I made a little bit more of a pricier investment. This was about $20, but it's digital. Okay, so it's pretty essential to have a meat thermometer in the kitchen so that you can test the temperature of meats so that you don't undercook them or you don't overcook them. Basting brush, pretty important, especially if you like to roast meats. Baste those juices at the bottom on top. Keep the meat moist on top, okay? This one's silicone coated right here. This is a silicone one, okay? Measuring cups. I like these because they're all connected, okay? And if I need to take one off, I can. What's nice about these is they're all connected and they store really well, okay? And it's all about keeping your kitchen uncluttered and making sure that you're able to find stuff quick, okay? Measuring spoons, very important. Again, I like them because they're all connected on the one and they store really easy. Usually if I use this stuff, I'll just use one and wash them all instead of just taking the time to take them off of this ring, okay? This is a kitchen timer. What's nice about this one is it has 3 different settings here. I can have 3 different things going on at one time. And as much cooking as I do, and let's say I'm cooking for a large group of people, it's nice to have 3 different timers, 3 different things in the oven. Because you're so busy, it's hard to remember exactly what time to pull out stuff. So nice investment here. This was about maybe $10 or $15, but well worth it. Well worth the money spent on that. Okay. And then kitchen knives. I don't think you're going to buy any knives this expensive, but I made a good investment into my knives. This is, I believe it's 16 layers of, these are Japanese knives, hand forged steel knives. And so have some good knives. Have a chef knife. This is a chef knife. Have a bread knife with a serrated edge, okay? Especially if you're cutting certain items, it's better to have a serrated edge like this one, okay? Have a utility knife. This one's a utility knife, boning knife, whatever utility knife. Very sturdy, not as big as a chef knife, but it's got that nice feel to it and really essential to have. And then have a good paring knife. Have a good paring knife. And those 4 knives, other than maybe steak knives to cut meat with, would be pretty essential. Okay, it's really good to have some really nice pans to work with and different sizes. What I have in front of me here is I have a 12-inch pan, I have a 10-inch pan, and I have an 8-inch pan. Okay, so obviously you need, if you're cooking for larger groups, it's nice to have a bigger pan, or if you're cooking eggs in the morning for groups, you can cook about 4, possibly 5 eggs in there. A lot of scrambled eggs, okay? Have a smaller one just in case you have multiple items you need to cook on the stovetop. Okay, these are all non-stick. And then have an 8-inch pan, okay? And what's important is when I'm storing these, I don't want to store them like that, okay? What I do is I either put a paper towel at the bottom. So I'll put a paper towel, and then I'll stack this one on top, and then I'll put a paper towel, and I'll stack this one on top, or a regular towel. But the bottoms of these can really scratch really bad, and we'll go over pans in future presentations. But for now, it's essential to have 3 different types of pans. And if you can only have 2 of them, that's good. This one's for personal or smaller items. So one of the most important pieces of cooking equipment that we're going to be cooking with throughout the series of classes is a double broiler. Okay, this is so essential. If there's any piece of equipment other than, let's say, a meat thermometer or cutting boards or knives that there is having this. This is the key to steaming. And what we want, it also brings colors to vegetables. I have 2 different sizes here. I want to go over both of them in detail. So what's so important about double broilers is the fact that they have this steamer bucket in their basket, okay? And they have 2 of them. This one is a larger one. And so what's nice is you can put your water at the bottom until it comes up to about the top of this, okay? And then you start steaming vegetables. And then if you had 2 different types of vegetables, then you could steam vegetables in this one, okay? And what happens is the water starts boiling and pushing the steam up, right? It's evaporating, but then this is capturing the evaporation, and it's creating a pressure cooker. So we're actually steaming with evaporated water, okay? Very essential to have. If you ever see in my recipes where it says use a double broiler, right? And then fill the water up 1 inch or a half or whatever, that's what I'm talking about. Is you put the water in here, fill it up to here, and then what's nice is when you get better at time efficiency in the kitchen, we'll talk about time efficiency, making your cooking experience better and easier to do. You could actually put the water in this, right? Put the cover on top of it, get this on the stove, starting to boil, and then you could take your vegetables and you could cut them up separate. So while this is coming up to a boil, you can put these next to your cutting board, right? Put these next to your cutting board, and then you can put your vegetables after you cut them in here. So by the time those are cut up, this is already at a boil, and then you take this and then you go put them on there and you're ready to cook. I think a lot of people, they make a mistake of cutting the vegetables first, right? And then they go get their pot of water, and then they put it in there, and then they put this in there, and then they wait for it to steam. And it's all about time efficiency and using your timing correctly in the kitchen. we'll take a look at the smaller one. I'd invest in the big one if you could. Let me see if there's a 18. It doesn't say the size, but I'm sure it's probably about an 8-quart or a 6-quart one. And this one's just a smaller version. If you have a smaller family, a family of 2, this would be good for that. This one's a 3-quart, so I'm assuming this other one's a 6-quart. And again, this one's a little different. It's got an insert that doesn't have the holes, okay, and then it's got one that does, okay. But normally I'll use it like this, okay. Very essential to have. That's one of the first things I look for is a double broiler if I'm ever entering a kitchen, and I couldn't do my job without one. Okay, a few more items in front of me. Okay, I have a couple crock pots. I have a food processor. I have a small saucepan. And I have a bigger stock pot. Okay, I'd like to talk about a few of these more in detail. So first off, I want to talk about the crock pots. I think they're essential because they make cooking so much easier. They make life so much easier. They make your house smell terrific. I have a lot of recipes I'm gonna share with crock pots down the road, but for now, if you need a big one, that's good. If you have a family of 4 to 6 or even bigger, it's nice to have a bigger one like this. They're not too expensive. You see them all the time. I think this one was about $30. Okay, but if you have a family, if you're by yourself, or if you have a family of 2 or something, it's also nice to have a smaller one. Okay, smaller ones are nice to have, and just in case you don't need a big one. One thing I do is I take pan spray before I start using them, and I spray the edges with pan spray up here. It just makes it cleaning up easier, so much more. I think this is a 6-quart, and I believe this is a 2-quart, but maybe mistaken on the sizes. But it's nice to have 2 different options. Or if you're cooking 2 different separate options, you have 2 different crock pots to use. And again, they make their house smell terrific. Another really good crock pot to have is this flatter one. This recently just came out. I picked one up. They're really nice because you can shingle the meat on each other in here, so they're actually not piled on top of each other. So if you're doing something like a chicken breast or something, multiple of them, or pork chops, you can layer them. Probably fit about 6 to 7, maybe possibly 8 in here. And then you put your toppings on top. And it's got the same settings as low, high, and warm. Really good to have. Only one this one that doesn't have a timer. So you can't set it for 4 or 8 hours, but really nice to have, just a different type of crock pot to have. So it's important to have a few stock pots. This one is a little saucepan. It's a 2-quart pan. It's got a cover. Really nice to have for smaller items. If you're reheating something, if you're reheating soup, or what we talked about is time efficiency in the kitchen, and less dishes is better. And so we don't want to use a big stock pot like this for heating up something that would only need this big of a pan, right? That's kind of what we're looking at. So it's nice to have a 2-quart one, and then this is bigger. This is a 6-quart one. Okay, so obviously, if you're going to make a big soup or a chili or something, this would be really nice to have. It's also nice to have if you're making a homemade tomato sauce, and the reason being is because it's so deep, and the volume. Whenever you put your tomato sauce, you should only come up about right here, and I'll probably share a recipe later on about that, but it's got higher walls. So sometimes whenever the tomato sauce will simmer, it will start splattering. And if you have a pot that's really deep like this, and you can, it won't splatter. It'll kind of splatter against the walls instead of like all over you. If you had the tomato sauce up to this point, then you might find little red splatter spots all over your kitchen, and then you got more time to clean it, okay? Nice to have both of those, okay? A food processor is nice to have. This one is like a 2-cup one. It's Cuisinart, okay? So it's really nice to have. I eat a lot of garlic, so I don't like to peel and chop garlic all the time. So what I do is, once a week, once every other week, I'll I'll take about 15 cloves of garlic and I'll throw them in there real quick. Sometimes you can even buy garlic peeled already. And it just takes 30 seconds just to pulse it and get it done. And it's got high and low settings on there. One of the pieces of advice I can give you is anytime you're using a sharp edge like this one or knives, wash it off when you're done. Okay, because what happens is if we don't wash this off, like if we chopped up garlic and we left it there for an hour or even half an hour, it hardens up. And then you go to clean it and then you're struggling trying to get these little hard, almost like cement pieces off, and then that's where accidents happen. Okay, so anytime I use a sharp knife or sharp utensil like this chopping blade, rinse it off right away. Get it rinsed off while it's nice and soft on there. Very essential to have. And then this isn't too bad of an investment. This was about maybe $20. It looks nice sitting on your countertop. It's not too big, and then it comes with this nice scraping knife that you can get stuff out when you're done with it. Colanders and mixing bowls. Very important to have a few of them. These are really sturdy, hard plastic mixing bowls. They stack into each other. They're fairly deep. Really nice to have for mixing stuff together. Okay, and then they're also great for serving. Colanders. It's nice to have two different sizes. Okay, one big one and one small one. They're really sturdy, hard plastic. One big one. The reason being is that, let's say, for example, you're only rinsing off maybe some blueberries or a small item. We don't want to use a big one for a small item, right? Because it's all about using our time correctly in the kitchen, and we create dishes. So this is a bigger item we'd have to wash. And I like to let my stuff air dry. So this will take up a lot of room on my countertop whenever I let stuff air dry. So, but then again, we might need them for rinsing off a bunch of fruit at one time or something. You know, it's nice to have the bigger one option when you need it, and it's nice to have the smaller option when you need it. Sheet pans are very essential. Okay, it's nice to have a few sheet pans to work with. This is a bigger one. This again is probably about a 16 by 10 inch or so sheet pan. And then this is a smaller one, okay? This one probably need to replace soon, but they're always nice to have. Sometimes you don't need the big one again, so it's nice to have a smaller option that doesn't take room on our drying rack if we dry dishes, okay? And then a bigger one. It's always nice to have these because as classes go on, I'll kind of teach on how to, efficiently use your time in the kitchen. What's nice about sheet pans is, let's say if you're outdoor grilling for a large group that's coming or family that's coming and you want to finish the meat first and then not hold it on the grill, well, you can always layer them on these sheet pans like this and then, put them in your oven at like 180 degrees to hold so that they're always going to be waiting for you. Nice to have. I always look for them whenever I go anywhere to cook, and I definitely grab these if I needed to leave the house with kitchen essentials. I'd grab them and take them with me. So as you can see, I have three different types of cutting boards here in front of me. Okay, I have about a 16 inch by 10 one. I have a red one, and then I have a smaller white one. Okay, and the difference is here that you want to have one cutting board for raw meat. Usually that's the color red. Okay, so we have one for raw meat. We have one for vegetables. Okay, and then if you don't need a larger cutting board, sometimes you just need a smaller item, right? So again, we're talking about saving time when we're washing dishes, saving time if we're air drying dishes. Sometimes you don't need a big one. So it's nice to have three different types of cutting boards. If I were you, I'd invest in a big one, because the reason being is because when you're using one like this, you can keep a few smaller items in the corners and still leave yourself with plenty of time, plenty of room to work with here. If you tried to do everything on this one, then you're cutting one item up. You're trying to be careful not to knock it off onto the table. It slows you down. And then you got to take those items and put them in a separate bowl, right? And then that just creates more dishes. And I have even a bigger one that's probably like this, bigger, that I see. If I'm cooking for 100 or 200 people, I have this gigantic cutting board that saves me so much time. This is one of the better investments you're going to make, is into your cutting boards. And I suggest you get a good one. It'll make your life so much easier in the kitchen. Well, that's it for the kitchen essentials part. And just always remember that when we invest in some of these kitchen equipment and utensils, we're making an investment into our health, right? We're making an investment into our family's health, our kids' future, their health. And it might be a little costly at first if you're just getting started, but it's so worth it. And it's so worth making that investment, because if you get the right equipment, it's going to last you for years and years and years to come. And part of that, again, is not being over cluttered, not getting too much stuff, but then having enough to get by with, right? And some of you may have more than you need. I'm there. Sometimes I think I have more than I need. And it's really important to utilize what you need and some of the stuff that's excess to possibly get rid of that and share it with others or whatever you have to do. But I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I thank you so much for being on my kitchen. Good day. Well, that does it for this first video. I sure hope you enjoyed it. I hope some of you guys learned a lot about it, about essential equipment and essential kitchen utensils. It's pretty important. You have to have a good start with those. So I look forward to presenting again on the next video. And again, thank you to the Southern Plains Tribal Health Board for this opportunity to share my knowledge and my skills with others. Have a great day. Thank you.